Hey Corey, what made you want to become a designer? Did you always want to be a landscape designer?
I think I always wanted to design, but growing up as a kid, I was always thinking I was going to be a architect. I think when I was like even 4 years old, I told my aunt always, I'm going to build buildings. I'm going to live in a condo downtown and build these amazing buildings, and that's what I wanted to do. Then I found out that's not really a passion I had. I mean, I wasn't even around really unique houses or anything like that. And growing up as a kid, my parents always had an amazing yard. And it's really because my parents loved their backyard so much. That's why I started loving landscaping. So I started kind of getting more into landscape design or ideas because of growing up as a kid, digging holes with my mother and like gardening and playing with worms and dirt. And that's what kind of got me into more of the landscape designing side, I suppose.
Why did you love your yard as a kid so much?
Growing up as a kid, I liked to play with dirt and I liked to be in the yard and, have water fights in the backyard and sit on the deck and enjoy hanging out with my family. And that was kind of a big part why I said, I want this feeling that I have with my family. I want to design that for other people.
Do you have any unique stories since you start designing?
Well, and that's the thing is that I meet hundreds of clients a year and there's always new stories that come up and scenarios, and you think once you've designed one yard, it's going to be the same the next year, and it's going to be the same to the next yard and the next client, and they're all going to want the same thing, but that's not true. When I first started landscaping, I thought, you want a plant because it's going to grow there, and that's the only reason you're picking that plant. It's going to grow there and it looks nice, but every person looks at a plant differently. I didn't realize that.
Ah. And what kind of tree would you put in your yard?
I'd pick out the tallest tree. It had to be the tallest tree ever. And I don't know why. I always just wanted the tall one. I didn't care if it was spindly or had full foliage. The thought was, if it's the tallest one, that's the one for my yard. And so I would always pick that for the client. Now, a few years ago, I started coming up with the idea that I should take clients to the nursery and we can go and hand pick plants together. So we'd go and take a look at all the different trees, all the different shrubs for the yard and the perennials. And it was at that time that I found out that it didn't matter that I liked the tallest tree. It's what my client wanted. And we were walking down the rows of plants, and I was with this client, her and her husband, and we kept walking around down these rows of plants and these tall trees. And we had to pick out a tree, and there was this crooked one. It was straight, it had a big bend in it, and it came back fully straight at the top. And it was a nice tree, it was pretty full, but I thought it was that ugly tree. It had that bend in it. Why would anybody want that tree? It's not the perfectly straight tree, and it's not the tallest one. It's not the fullest. So why would you pick that tree? But yet my client kept stopping at that same tree. And so I said, why are you so fascinated with this tree? What's the purpose of this tree? And she said, it has a story, and I have a story, and I think I relate to it. And I'm like, well, how can you relate to a tree? You're a person. And she said, well, in my life, myself and my husband, we actually overcame cancer. And I overcame cancer twice. And I said, wow, it's a lot to put on somebody standing in a nursery. And she said, well, this tree overcame something in its life. So it really resonated with her that this was the tree for her yard. Everything was fine, and then something really bad happened. Yet they overcame the problem, and it came back straight and narrow. So it had, a perfect vision, and life was better. Life was going to be amazing. So I said, okay, well, we'll pick that tree. We picked that tree. We planted it for her in the yard. And, every year we go back and take some more photographs. Believe it or not, that was the one tree that still looked nice in the yard 2 years later. I came back, we're taking photographs of everything. The 3 trees I picked out died, and we had to replace those trees. So in the end, she has this amazing tree, but it had value for her. So now when I meet with my clients and I go and take a look at trees, I look at them differently. And that's why I always make sure that my clients come with me to make those design decisions, because this is the yard you're going to live with for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And, that story needs to be your story. So let's find that story of your yard, and we'll have that picked out for you when we actually go and pick out the plants. So now that space means something to you, not just because I designed it and I thought it looked good. You know, that's my job. But at the same time, it's to find those pieces that are going to just fit well with you.